Hi, everybody. My name is Buddy Gott. Welcome to the Gotta Pop podcast, which today I kind of want to rename the Buddy and Buzzy Show because my guest today is named Buzzy Guitar Man Martin. Welcome to the show, Buzzy.
Buddy, how you doing, my friend? It's an honor to be on your show. And you know what? We could get something going very easily. We could take it to Vegas.
We could. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Buddy and Buzzy. Or I could give you top billing because you're more well known than I am.
I don't know, man. You're right up there yourself. I mean, I've been
Well, thanks.
on YouTube, so you're doing well.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Well, I do welcome you to the show. And folks, if you're not familiar with Buzzy, let me just tell you just a little bit about him. He's got a fascinating story, and he is a musician, a writer, a songwriter. He has written a book, and the book and his life are soon going to be the subject of a motion picture. So, Buzzy, why don't I let you take it from here and maybe tell the folks the name of your book?
Okay, well, the name of the book is called "Don't Shoot, I'm the Guitar Man."
That's a fantastic title.
Really, and it's based on my mentoring inmates at San Quentin State Prison and working with at-risk kids that are incarcerated in juvenile halls. So that's how that whole thing got started. But to bring it all back, I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Played music all of my life. Got bit pretty hard when I was 10 years old. My dad and my grandfather were both musicians.
Oh, wow.
My grandfather used to play in a one-man band and during the Depression era. Excuse me.
Sure.
And my dad was in a duo called Red and Porky the Harvesters, and they would do barn dances all through Michigan and Chicago, and was on the radio. And so by the time I came along, my dad pretty much was just working at General Motors out of Grand Rapids. But I got bit really hard playing music. So, started playing music 10 years old. By the time I was 14, I was playing in a polka band, playing keyboards. That was
Oh, wow.
right. And making a couple of bucks doing these weddings. So it was a
That's awesome.
adventure for me to be playing music, getting paid, and all these girls were around playing music, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I bet it was.
By the time I was 15, I got into my first high school rock and roll band, and man, that was life changing. So then I started playing bars at 15.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh yeah. I was the youngest kid in the band. Excuse me, and I was playing bars, singing, playing keyboards, and again getting paid. And at this point, I mean, it was women. And so I got hooked really hard. So by the time I turned 18 years old, my options where I was from is either try to go to college or work in General Motors and on the factories. And I really wanted to try to this music thing. And so I jumped right from, high school into the bars up until 1979 to where I had an opportunity to move to California. Because at that point I was in a band that was traveling all through the Midwest and down south, and we were doing covers and a couple of originals.
Mm-hmm.
But we broke up. I got a little amount of money settlement from the band and got this offer to move to California. And man, I came out. It was like looking back. It was like watching John Belushi. I'm on a mission from God. Oh my, this is gonna be great. So in 1979,
classic line from the Blues Brothers there. One of my favorite Belushi movies.
Oh man, love it.
That's
yeah, I seen the light. I thought this is gonna be it. I mean, how hard can this be? So moved out to the Bay Area in 1979 and started immediately busking at the Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, which was a
nice,
huge education.
Wow.
Because if you're really good, you can again make a lot of money. And the girls, I mean, I'm listening to myself talk to you, but and that's what I was into at that point. I was a young guy, and I was a young buck, and making money and playing music. It was unbelievable.
Everything you dreamed of, right?
Everything I dreamed of. I mean, I was doing all these cover songs, and and it was just great. And then October hit, and I got cold, and I didn't realize, I thought California was California.
Right. It's never supposed to be cold there.
No. And that's down in LA. In San Francisco area, it gets foggy and it gets cold. So then I ended up started to join these top 40 bands and started playing all the top 40, which was happening in the 80s.
So you're doing covers with these top 40 bands and bars and stuff?
100%, yeah.
Now let
you
me
know,
ask you. Let me interject for just a second. Now, at this point, were you already switched over fully to guitar, or were you still playing keys? Or
the question, I should have brought that back.
oh no,
So
that's okay.
yeah, so at a certain point, 1976, I started playing because I'd always played guitar, but I mean everybody plays guitar, so the keyboard player could get more work. But in
Mhm.
'76, I thought, I really want to get out front.
Right.
I'm tied to the keyboards, and I really want to get out there. And so that's when I started really working hard and got into a band. I was playing keyboards up until 70, or I'm sorry, playing guitar until 1979. So at that point, I've just become a guitar player
Oh, okay.
and keyboard player if I need to be.
Now,
So
this kind of stuff fascinates me. I'm just curious because I told you before we did the show that I just recently got a guitar and I'm actually
yeah,
excited to start learning it. But
yeah.
were you self-taught or did you take lessons for these instruments?
No, I was self-taught.
Really? Wow.
I yeah, man, it's interesting. I never took a lesson. Oh, I hear sirens coming.
Oh,
Here
I'll
we
probably
go.
hear them here
Oh,
soon too.
there we go. There it is. Just went
Oh
by.
yeah, you can hear them good from where you're at.
Good. So yeah, I was self-taught, and so what I would do is
You would look at YouTube, learn how to play.
there was no, for me it was just I would go to concerts and watch these guys play, but
Oh, nice.
just learned by just doing it. And then I was in choir, and so I would ask the choir teacher, "Is this an A?" And I would finger it on guitar, and he would say yes. And is this an A on keyboards? And he would say yes. And
Oh,
so
okay.
one day he happened to bust me because I was reading, like, this is for your people here. So I'm reading the music, and he just looked at me and he turned it over, and he
Oh,
looked and said, "You can't read music, can you?" And I said, "I can't." And he said, "I'm just going to let it go. You have a natural ear." Because
oh,
I can
wow.
and I can tell, all the keys. I can tell you if I'm hearing music and I can transpose it what key they're playing in, but I can't read music. And
Wow,
so
that's fascinating.
pretty crazy. And so
Yeah, that's
I just
cool.
practiced a lot. I mean, I was the nerd in school to where I had real glasses like you have.
Hmm.
I didn't smoke pot and I didn't play sports. And so where do you put me? I was a geek. I just played music. And so I would sit with my 45. Sorry, kids, that's not a gun. My little 45, because all these kids that work, they got it's a gun. And I would listen to songs over and over and over. And if I wasn't sure of it, I'll put it down to 33 and a third,
Oh, slow it down to check it out better, huh?
pose it to the next key because I knew that. And I did that all my life.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, I mean, so I was self-taught, and the same thing for singing. Every band I was in, it's like, hey buddy, do you want to sing a song? I don't want to sing the song. Well, what about you, Frank? No, 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 I don't want to do it. Okay, I'll sing the song. Well, somebody's got to sing it. So I just got more and more confidence in my singing, and then when I moved out here, and then started playing with bands, it was working. And then I met my future wife, which was life changing for me. My bride, as I call her, for 42 years,
Oh, that's
has
awesome.
my June Carter cash. I mean, she really gets what I'm doing, and
Oh,
so
nice.
and really promotes it. And so I appreciate that. And so we moved in, got married, had a child, and right about this time, things in my life were happening to where it started out actually with my dad passing away that I just had these words in my head because I've been knowing how to do cover tunes all my life, and
Mhm.
to memorize it you got to write down the words, and
Right,
so I
sure.
the formula in songwriting, but I had never crossed that line until after my dad had passed away. I wrote this song, and it was just like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The next thing that happened was out here in California, a big deal in 1993 was Polly Hannah Class was a little girl that was 12 years old that had been kidnapped, sexually molested, and eventually murdered.
Oh gosh.
Changed, across the country, the three strikes law.
Hmm.
And so for me, when everybody in cinema kind of, we're all trying to find Polly again. I'm driving down the road from a gig, and all of a sudden, pow, it comes in. I have to pull over, write the words down. I go home, pick the guitar up. The chords are already there. Boom. I have my
Wow.
second one. I went to record it, and the floodgates open. And so
Wow.
that's with doing recording and songwriting. In the meantime, I'm playing these top 40 gigs, you know, having a great time and not thinking about trying to even do any of my songs because I can get a reaction really fast by just going, well, it's one for the money. And people are up dancing immediately.
Right. Yeah, sure.
But if I start doing my songs, then, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. So I just never did that. So in the meantime, I kept on writing songs and then I started doing these open mics. I was the host of an open mic, and I'm sure you and your audience knows what an open mic
Oh,
is.
sure.
Yeah, and so I was one night I was doing an open mic, and these 10 kids came in, and they all had white t-shirts and khaki pants and tennis shoes. They all dressed the same.
Hmm.
And I thought that was pretty inquisitive. So I went up and said, "So what's the deal?" And this kid said, "We're group home kids."
Oh, okay.
I went, "What's a group home?" I had no idea.
Right.
So the staff explained to me what a group home was. And I'm sure your audience knows. They saw you guys are pretty intelligent out there. And so they said, "Why don't you come by and play some music sometime?" And I thought, why not? And so I did.
Oh,
And
that's great.
that was pretty intriguing for me. And right about that time, in California, we have court community schools that are 2 steps below juvenile hall. And I'm sure they have them in your city too.
Yeah, I believe so.
So a teacher approached me about the possibility of coming to her classroom and playing music for these at-risk kids. And I thought, why not? And so I
Yeah.
went and fell in love with it. These are just kids that were broken that fell through the cracks of life.
Now, Buzzy, were these mostly teenagers or even younger than that? Or...
Yes, absolutely. As young as 9,
Oh, okay.
as old as 18.
Gotcha, gotcha. Pretty wide range there then.
Wide range. But the one thing in common is they're all either been physically, sexually, or mentally abused.
That's so horrible, and it's far, far too common.
Oh yeah, man. And so I started playing music and teaching them how to play music and singing and having a great time and bringing a little drum set in and excuse me. And so that was really a lot of fun. And then to move it up in 1998, because I was doing juvenile hall. I got to get a drink here. Hold on.
Yeah, sure. I'll join you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So in 1998, I had an opportunity to go to San Quentin and teach a pilot program there. I'd been working in juvenile hall, and they thought I was doing a great job. And this woman had a friend that was going to try to do this program. And that 12-week program turned into 3.5 years.
Wow.
That's how, and that's like the beginning of the Buzzy Martin, to give you a synopsis of, what I've been about, playing music and just trying to be a little bit of a mentor and touch people's hearts through music. And it always was cover tunes up until one day my son challenged me. He said to me, "So why aren't you playing your own songs out in these gigs?" And I just went, I couldn't answer. And so I thought, okay, so at that point, I booked a gig as an opener at one of these shows, and I was sweating like James Brown. I
Oh, I
swear,
bet you were.
I was sweating like James Brown. I was so nervous, and I gave
That's
up.
understandable because before you were, singing like, tried and true songs that the audiences knew, but you're singing your own stuff that's from your heart and soul. That's a lot different.
That's totally different. I mean, if I was doing songs like the Eagles and Bob Seger, and I mean, everybody would be singing stuff, but I wasn't. I write songs that are social justice. I write about homelessness, child abuse, prison, murder. I mean, heavy, heavy, heavy.
Yeah,
And so I thought, well, here goes. And the crowd went nuts.
that's
I was
awesome.
really amazed of how it went over. So that is the beginning of my career of working with that type of clientele.
Right. Now let me
And
ask you this. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off if you want to finish what you were saying.
no, I'm fine.
I was just going to say, when you first went to San Quentin, obviously that was a much different experience than what you had previously been doing with the children. Were you were you scared of that at all when you first went in there? I mean, it's like I said, different kinds of people you were dealing with there.
It's funny you say all that because with the at-risk kids in the group homes, And probably in the community schools, I would say it's definitely a lot different. But
Mhm.
when you get to the court schools, or especially the juvenile hall kids, what would happen is I would go to San Quentin on a Tuesday, and all these guys would be crying, wanting to go home.
Mm. Yeah.
Wednesday, I'd be in juvenile hall, and all these guys, which is called H unit, that was the lockdown. That was the worst of the worst kids,
Oh, okay.
just jumping like monkeys for me to tell them stories because they really want to go to prison. This is going to be great.
Oh, wow.
So that was an interesting factor for me. So,
Yeah.
was I scared? I wasn't scared. I was very aware of my surroundings,
Hmm.
but that went back to me being a kid playing bars.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah. You
learned.
had, you had quite an education right there.
I've always been aware of my surroundings. I'm never in a corner. I'm always, looking out of who's around. So that didn't bother me. It was just that in San Quentin, it's like I'm the only person that looks like me.
Right.
I don't have the cloth of the inmate, which is blue jeans, and I don't wear a uniform. So I usually wear black a lot. So that's what I wore, and so that maybe stand out.
Hmm.
Was just the vibe.
Right.
There's a vibe that you can't explain too much other than that. There's the smell of dead air.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just dead air because there's nothing's opened up. So you get that mixture of bad breath, dead air, body odor, farts, all these things that is just it's just dead air. That stuck with me. The feeling of freedom was a big deal because you leave your freedom outside. That was the hard part. And you also do get that when you go to juvenile hall, because juvenile halls, as far as I'm concerned, are just mini kid prisons. That's all
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. That's the impression I've always gotten. Certainly from what you're saying, it sounds like
Right. They're not there to rehabilitate. They're there to basically lock these kids up, which society really seems to want to do because you want to be tough on crime, and scared straight. That's a big one too. It's like, no,
right.
I'm sorry, these kids need a hug.
Yeah.
They they need to play harmonica or something. That's what they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Need to
know
be.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, they just need to be a kid.
Yeah.
I
And
can tell by your face that you were probably a really good kid. You probably had a good childhood.
I did. Yeah. I'm very
Yeah.
thankful to say that I did.
You smile right away. Most of these kids don't smile.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect, we need to love these kids a little bit more. That there's these, I'm starting to sound like a hippie, aren't I?
No, you're not. You're not. I agree with you. I mean, I know that we mentioned before, and I think some of my audience knows. I live in Wilmington, Delaware. It's the biggest city in Delaware. Some big politician is from here, but where I live, well, Wilmington is got a lot of bad. It's got a bad reputation to a lot of people. There is a lot of crime here. There's several shootings and unfortunately murders every year. And I live not too far away. It's within a couple miles of areas where you hear very frequently of kids getting in trouble involving shootings and different sorts of crimes. And I think probably a lot of it stems from what you've said too, is that these kids did not have a good upbringing from a lot of the stories I read in the newspaper and such. And unfortunately, they form these bonds with other troubled kids in their neighborhood where the cool thing to do is be a part of a gang and be part of whatever's going on. And unfortunately, it's a shame because if there had been maybe more love given there or better education or better nurturing, they might not be in that situation.
That's the one, nurturing. If they
Yeah.
had some kind of a role model, some
Hmm.
kind of, a little bit of hope, or some kind of positive person that could, try to get to them, because these guys seem to live in this world, and girls too,
Yeah.
seem to live in this world of fantasy to where it's okay to do what you do. And we perpetuate this with movies,
Yeah.
music, yeah, lifestyles. I mean, you watch some of these shows on TV, you want to puke because that's not real. It's just
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
And
And unfortunately, it is made to almost be a positive thing in some movies and TV shows, and even in music sometimes. What's that one? I'm not going to sing the song, but there was something about, it's good to be a gangsta. I mean, it was like kind of
right,
endorsing, that, hey, go out and be a badass and maybe break some laws. And
well, we've made it sexy. And
yes, yeah,
I'm
that's a
in
good way to put it.
trouble now because I want to name a few names. Here we go. Snoop Dogg,
Hmm.
former gang member. 50 Cent. He was a bad dude.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've
Now
heard.
he's at the Emmys, and I mean, they've made it like, oh my God, look who you. Well,
Yeah,
wait a minute here. Time out.
yeah,
We don't hold nothing responsible anymore. And this is where I sound really old, I must admit. We have no integrity or honor anymore. And when you say those things, somebody's going to take that for truth.
yeah,
And the time has come to, I mean, when I grew up, and I'm with you grew up too, in Philadelphia and Detroit music, it was love stuff.
yeah.
Even the hard stuff, which was like Papa was a Rolling Stone, even though it was a heavy deal, it was still enough to where we could dance to it and not be bummed out and,
Right.
agitated. Same with the Philadelphia sound.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
And so we have to take responsibility, and we don't. And this is where kids really think it's good. And the drive-by shootings and stuff, it's an epidemic all over the country, no doubt. We as
Yeah,
Americans,
everywhere, unfortunately.
and not to get too political, but we talk about this gun thing, and you know, I've never been a violent person. I never hunted, I never fished. I couldn't put a hook. I couldn't,
I'm with you on all those things, actually.
I never put the worm on the hook. I couldn't do it. And so, I just think that we need to really look at what we are as humans and try to, make a change.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I've done through music, and you do too.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yeah, it's life's hard for everybody, and anybody who says that their life isn't hard is probably not being completely honest. Everybody has struggles in one way or another.
Everybody has
Yeah. But especially, I think, like we're talking about younger people, and maybe even not so younger people. We've talked before. One thing that I like that you put, I follow you on social media,
Oh,
and
thank you.
oh, you're welcome. But in a lot of your posts, you will, end whatever you're saying with a wonderful line, and I think you know what I'm already talking about.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, could you just say that what that is?
It's education, not incarceration. Now, and I can't say it enough because you understand where the word penitentiary came from? That word?
I'm not entirely sure about that. A
It's
pen, like an animal's, or
it was from the Catholic religion where you were supposed to go and do your penance.
oh gosh, yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. And so when you look at it at that, it's like an adult timeout,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Well, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
We went from there to, doing, we have the shoe. Most people don't even understand what a shoe is. And
Mm-hmm.
they put people in by themselves for like months at a time. Well, you can't even do that to a dog.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we have to really look at, what are we doing?
Yeah. Exactly. Eh,
It's it's a weird deal, but yeah, I just try to perpetuate the fact of if you educate people, even these kids in juvenile hall, my book should be in every juvenile hall required reading for every kid from probably seventh on to 12th grade, even the main schools, because they would understand that you just don't throw people into prison or juvenile hall or county jail just because.
Yeah. Exactly.
Forget about it. And then you come back out and then, never do anything else. It's like sending somebody to war and not trying to reprogram them
Yeah.
once they get out. And then we wonder why people shoot people.
Yeah. And it's sad too that a lot of people once they've done time for whatever it was, a lot of people for in comparison to other crimes, fairly innocent things, maybe like shoplifting or like crimes without a weapon. But I'm saying so many of these people don't have much of a chance once they get out, where they're not going to be hired, or if they are hired for certain jobs, it's maybe not jobs that fully they can put their full potential into, just because there is this negative stereotype that people But if they were bad once, they're always going to be bad, and it's a shame.
It is a shame. In my book, it says 85% of the guys I worked with in San Quentin were there for nonviolent drug, alcohol, mental health crimes. That was it. They didn't do anything to anybody. And so when you break that down, and you're right, when they get out, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? No one's going to hire you. You're not going to be able to not only get a job, you're probably not going to find a place to live. You're
Yeah.
going to become homeless and get arrested.
Yeah.
And we don't ever address the mental health thing.
Yeah.
We don't address at all. I'm sure it's just as bad at your place
Yeah.
as my place.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's sad.
Homeless is just as bad there as it is here.
Yeah. And while certainly there are no easy, clear-cut, quick answers to these things, it's something, you kind of hope as a human being that you'd like to see politicians and other powers that be spend a little bit more of their time and focus on. It can't just be the some of the other things, the quote unquote nonsense that we see them talking about sometimes. Make this a bigger issue, because these people, all people need opportunities and need some kindness once in a while.
Well, all here comes the swear words. That's all poppycock on the whole deal with politicians. And I've dealt with politicians, and once they get in office, they're set. They don't really look at what their responsibility. And if they did, things would get accomplished.
Yeah.
This is where we as communities really need to step up. It's like maybe I'm messed up because I watched too much Mayberry growing up.
There's no such thing as too much Mayberry. I just want to interject and say that.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same plane here. Yeah, because my feeling is if we do this as a community, it can work.
Yeah.
It really can work.
It really can.
And why not try it? And we don't do it. There's so much entitlement and egos and greed and power. It's just amazing. And if we just get back to the basics of, okay, what can move the heart and help all of us?
Mm-hmm.
It's me, it's us. What can we do to make the change that will help our community? I think we could be a better human planet.
Yeah. And I'd love to see too. I mean, obviously there are some examples out there of people who have had troubles, in their past with the law, where maybe they've been incarcerated, where they've really, really turned their lives around and have succeeded in whatever field they're in. But wouldn't it be nice to see even like someone like a U.S. senator or someone like that, where they can be like, well, look at me. I did, I served so much time in prison. I had the opportunities. I was given chances. And if I can do this, you can too,
I'll take it one step farther.
Mm-hmm.
I think every senator should spend one 24-hour period incarcerated, whether it be in county jail or in prison, so they can understand. And that goes with all the judges too, so they know where they're sending these people. So that way they would get a good sense of what it's really like. Because I don't really think that most of these politicians or the people that put these people in incarcerated really know where they're going, because once you close that door, it's all forgotten and you go on something else.
Right.
But I think you're on the right idea that it's really up to our leaders, whoever our leaders are, to guide us to make us the best that we possibly can. And so if you're going to get incarcerated, it should be the same way.
Yeah, it should.
I'm going to tell you. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Look, no, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, we've mentioned your book a couple times, and I just kind of wanted to, maybe get into how that came to be for you. If that's something that was just strictly your idea, or if someone approached you and said, "Hey, Buzzy, you should do this."
This is interesting. So when I had, hold on here, allergies.
Oh, I can relate.
The acacia trees are in the air.
While you're sipping that, I want to show for the YouTube watchers this. I wore this in honor of you today. It's my T-shirt with guitars on it. So I've got the Guitar Man on the show.
Beautiful, man. It's a nice shirt.
Well, thanks. I thank my wife Lisa for this. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, I think your wife too. So how it came about was, I knew as soon as I got offered this opportunity to work in San Quentin for 12 weeks, I really need to put this down somehow. So for your viewers, I had a cassette tape player.
Ah.
And so what I did is, as I was driving down to San Quentin, it's about a 45-minute drive from here, I would tell what happened today, either on the news or what happened in juvenile hall. Man, I'm sorry for coughing.
That's okay.
I would record this in a tape player. And so when I would get down to San Quentin, I would call my wife and say, I'm going in, I'll call you in 3 hours, which means one of the rules in San Quentin is there's a no hostage negotiation, which means they're not going to guarantee my safety. If there's a riot,
Right.
I'm just going to die. They're not
Wow.
going to negotiate.
Right.
So I was going for the 3 hours, do my program. I would come back out. Wasn't quite that easy, but I would come back out. I would call my wife and let her know I'm out now and I'll see you in about an hour. And then I would throw up and cry because it was such an emotional roller coaster
Wow.
to get the
Wow.
player and purge everything that just happened for the last 3 hours. And so that's how
Wow.
this thing started. I mean, I would do that every Tuesday and Thursday, juvenile hall, San Quentin, and kept this thing going up until I was done. My last day was January 31st of 01. So it's been a while now.
Hmm.
And actually what happened I'll just tell you what happened. So basically I got there. One of the inmates had recognized me because I'm pretty high profile in the North Bay here,
Hmm.
and knew where I lived, knew my wife's name. I mean, he's blabbing it all out. And
Oh,
the 30
wow.
guys in the classroom now know everything about me.
Oh,
So
my.
when I was done, I had an assistant that said, yeah, Mr. Big Mouth, I knew that was going to happen because he said he knew you and stuff. I'll have to talk to your boss, which is my boss. The next day she called and said there was a safety breach. He wasn't supposed to be in the classroom. And so I had to take 2 weeks off in order for them to find out what's going on with the safety breach.
Oh,
So
wow.
they called me back in 2 weeks later and said, he has been beaten up 3 times now because your program stopped. And so we can't guarantee your safety. So thank you for your service and goodbye.
Oh, man.
So that was that. So
Wow.
yeah. So what happened was I had these 9 90-minute cassettes. Yes, folks, that's right. Cassette thing, 90 minutes,
90
45
minutes.
died, right? And begin to it stopped and then click, flip over, and we'd be
I had many, many of those.
and so I had these 90-minute tapes. And so I had them all dated.
Mhm.
And I sat down and for like 6 months, I transcribed word for word from the cassette tape player to the pencil to the.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I 6 months, man. I wrote.
Wow.
And when I was done, I had pretty good sized pile
Yeah,
of.
I can imagine.
Oh, it was great. And so I give guitar lessons, and so one of my students' moms said, "Hey, look, why don't I take those home?" And I can put them, on computer and straighten it out for you, and I can give it back to you because I know your wife's really busy. And so, well, that'd be great. So she came over with her kid one day, and she handed me, which was I didn't know what it was, and she goes, "You have a manuscript," and I,
Wow.
"What's a manuscript?" And she said, "This could be a book," and I went, "Really?" And so I sat down and I read it, and I just wept like a baby. I was
I
like,
can
"Oh."
imagine. Yeah.
I had no clue. I really didn't know. And so my wife and I set on this journey because okay, I better back it up a little bit. So I had a nonprofit that I was working with because I could pay myself to go to juvenile halls,
Mhm.
the court community schools. I was working with, it's called SELPA, which is these little kids from 3 to 5 years old in preschool that are in wheelchairs and respirators, and I would go sing to them. And so
Oh, okay. Oh, that's so nice.
right, man. And so all my rock star buddies, they would help do concerts, and I would make money in order to do all this. And so it was the last concert we did was with Sammy Hagar and Night Ranger because these guys all live around here. It was a great
Oh,
concert.
wow.
And so that lasted a couple more years. And so what happened was the money ran out. I'm in juvenile hall, and so I'm going, do I want to do another concert? Or I have this manuscript and I really, I think I could do more with this book instead of just working around here. So I said to my wife, let's go ahead and put this book at this point on our Visa card. Let's just go do it. And
Hmm.
so again, my wife, being the way she is, she believes in me, said, let's do it. And
That's
so we ordered
awesome.
2,500 books.
Wow.
We didn't order 100. We ordered 2,500 because I figured, you know what? I'm sitting on something. I have,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, the answer to help stop all of these kids wanting to go to prison.
Wow. That is just such a great story, Buzzy.
Anybody want this, right? So we got the books, started selling the books. It was killing. I took 400 books aside. Okay, your audience, listen close because you can do this. I ordered 2,500 books. I set aside 400 and sent
Hmm.
them to every juvenile hall director in
Oh, great.
the country, figuring
Wow.
it's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
right? They would get it.
That's the audience you most want to reach, right? I mean,
Yes, because everybody around here is going nuts. I mean, I'm getting them in colleges and universities, and it's working. So
great.
one of my students from one of these group homes comes in this one day and says, "My mom just bought your book online. She paid $75 for it."
Oh, wow.
I said, "My book's not for sale online. Where'd she get
Oh,
my book?" And she said, "Well, there was a CD with it." And I went, "Oh no," because I had a song I wrote called
oh,
"Kids Help Kids," and I would put it in each book that I would send to a juvenile hall director. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh.
oh, man.
So I get home and I say to my wife, because you can see she set us up, right? I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So
Mhm.
she gets on that line, goes to Amazon, and boom, there's my book for sale for $800.
That's crazy. What was it, like some used bookseller or
No,
something? Or it was,
it was a juvenile hall director.
oh my, wow. Okay,
So,
not cool juvenile hall director. I
oh,
mean,
not cool. So my wife said, okay. So we started an account on Amazon, put it up for $14.95. Boom, they all went away. So now I decide to call. I love saying the story. I called the director of the juvenile hall complex in Orange County, California. And I said to him, by chance, have you read my book yet that I sent to you? And he said, and I'm not going to swear, I'm
okay.
not going to read your blank book.
Oh,
The,
wow.
yeah, these kids are my retirement. Do you get that, boy?
Are you kidding me?
I said, oh, I get it. And from that point forward, it changed my thinking of these kids and these humans, our fellow brothers and sisters, are a cash cow for these people,
Wow.
the probation department. And that is why none of these guys have ever called me back that I sent the 400 books to. And so my plight is to, again, I would like to see my book in every juvenile hall for every kid to read and to be inspired not to go and do bad things. That's for
Right.
and so that's
Well,
how my book came about. So
wow.
now we're there. So one day my friend says to me, "You ought to be on Facebook, man. You're a social butterfly." And I went, "What is Facebook?" Because I had no clue. What are we doing on time? We all right?
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
So so I get on Facebook, and within 3 months, I meet this lady that works for Mayor Gavin Newsom, the mayor of San Francisco.
Okay, even I know that name.
Yeah, so I think, well, hey man, no brainer. I'll try to get my book into the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. So I say to her, "Hey, can I send you a book?" And she goes, "Absolutely." So for the last 3 years of that existence, all I heard were people saying, and I know once you read my book, you'll probably say it too. I couldn't put your book down. It sounds like you're talking to me. This
That's
should be
awesome.
a movie. So I sent her the book. She calls me up and said, I couldn't put your book down.
That's awesome.
It sounds like you're talking to me. I have these friends in San Francisco that make movies. Really?
Wow.
So then she says, send him a copy of the book. So I sent two of these guys a copy of the book that worked for this place called Prodigy Motion Pictures.
Okay.
So in the meantime, the juvenile hall principal, his wife worked for Penguin Books. And so it sounds a little complicated here, but so she had a friend that worked at Penguin and he was a musician. So I gave him one of my books. And so we became somewhat friends. So in the meantime, they get the book. We broker a deal over the phone that he could make a movie of this. So we meet in San Francisco. So I call my other buddy from Penguin Books and go, hey, there may be a chance I'm going to get a movie deal out of my self-published book. And he goes,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, hey, look, I got this idea. Call me when you're done. So I go down, we broker the deal, we shake hands. They're going to make a movie based on my book. Perfect. We're driving back over the bridge. We stop in Sausalito and I make a phone call again. Talk to my buddy. I said, well, we brokered the deal. I got a movie deal for my book. He goes, send me 2 copies of your book. So now Monday morning, I send 2 copies to my buddy from Penguin Books. Announced to me, he has a meeting set up Thursday in Florida with the vice president and the editor-in-chief of Penguin Books.
Wow.
Pitches my story to him. He gives them each a book, tells them what's going on with me and the whole deal. They're there until Saturday, and they have a flight to New York. So Saturday they get on the plane. It's snowing in New York, so they're laid over. So they read my book.
Okay.
Monday morning, I wake up. I got a book deal now with Penguin Books, the biggest.
Wow. And Penguin's no joke, brother. I mean, they're one of the big ones. I mean, that's fantastic. How much did all of that blow your mind? I mean, Penguin, and then you hearing that there was going to be a movie. I mean, you must have been flying high.
It was like winning the lottery.
Yeah, I bet.
For a guy that moved to California, like I told you when we first started talking, to seek my fame and fortune as a big rock and roll guy.
Right.
Now I'm an author, and they're making a movie based on my book. And so now everybody around here starts asking me, who's my agent? I don't know. Well, how did you deal? It just happened.
Right.
I didn't set out to do it.
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, your life just, what you were doing, with the kids, and then later with San Quentin. I mean, it just changed your life in every possible way. I mean, I've listened to some of your music, and I know that's heavily influenced your songwriting. Where,
Right.
like you said, you've written so many songs where you talk about that life, and just to talk about a life-changing thing that seems like it's just going to affect you for the rest of your life.
It did, and it has, and I mean, there's no going back. There's no changing. I mean, I've become the voice of the incarcerated, and I'm very humbled by that.
That's wonderful. And speaking of the movie, now I know. Well, the book had been released quite some time ago, I think. And in the movie, what's the status of the movie right now? Do you know if it's still in production or?
No, it's done. Been filmed, post production. They won 17 film festivals.
Wow.
I mean, it blew up, and so now they're in negotiations with a few companies to see the direction where it's going to go. It's either going to go into theaters. Where's it going to go?
Right, right.
Know that in the next few months of exactly what's going to happen, but this is going to be the year of Guitar Man coming out.
Sounds like it.
Theater or streaming or.
Well, I congratulate you on that. That's really fascinating. And like we said, the book is don't shoot. I'm the Guitar Man, and the movie will be Guitar Man.
Right.
Okay.
And for me, I'm just, again, I'm really honored to be part of a group that's trying to bring change to this small world of people that have just been forgotten, lost, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
No, it shouldn't.
So, my hope is to eventually be able to visit every juvenile hall in the country, maybe play a theater that night and do whatever I'm doing performing, but to really go and visit these juvenile halls, county jails, and even prisons to let these people know they're not forgotten. We all think about you. You are our brothers and sisters.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what a great way to combine, like you said, your music, with going out and talking to people like that. Like that would be so wonderful if you could go from town to town, do a gig, and then go and do that. And speak. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Buzzy.
Just just inspiring people, because my dad was just a factory rat. I mean, that's what they call him. He's a factory rat, on the production line. And for this blue collar kid to be able to pull this off, that's huge.
That is huge.
One of my favorite movies is Polar Express. And the thing that I love about that movie is the word of believe. You have to believe. You have to have hope. If you have no hope, you can't believe. And I think it's up to us, your great show here, to inspire people to go, you can do this.
And it doesn't matter who you are or what your job is or where you are in the world. And believing in ourselves is so important.
It's everything. It's like what connected me was when you and John were talking on your podcast. Steve Lukather is a really good friend of mine.
So yeah, for those who don't know, Steve Lukather is a lead guitarist and a vocalist for Toto, the legendary Toto.
And Ringo.
Yeah, and Ringo. Yeah, that's right. He's out on tour with him this coming summer, I think.
Yeah. And so Steve's been really supportive. And I just sent him the raw demos. I'm not afraid to do that. But he gets what I'm doing. He understands these songs are really important. I mean, I tease when I say I'm a cross between Bob Seger and Will Rogers.
I like that.
Because there's a story behind every one of these songs.
Right.
It's real important for me to have people get what I'm doing. And that's why I'm really humbled that you've allowed me to be on your show, that you've gotten what I do. And I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm humbled to have you as a guest. And speaking of your songs, I had listened to some over the last several days, and I just wanted to mention some, and I encourage people to check them out. Well, I know they can be found currently on SoundCloud, and you're going to have them for sale later on. But I was wondering, you mentioned Kids Helping Kids. That's one I like quite a bit. I was listening to that just right before we recorded this. Yeah, City of Broken Dreams is a great one. Yeah, Something Gets Broken. One I really liked, is a good rockin' tune, is Talking Dirty Talk.
Talking Dirty Talk is my 80s.
Oh, yeah? I can hear that. I can hear that.
Oh, yeah. That was, well, actually, it was the Aerosmith. That was one of my big bands growing up. I love Aerosmith. Okay. And then, the bands like Motley Crue, Rat.
Yeah. Oh, I love those guys.
Loved Rat.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw not Matt. I saw Rat multiple times in concert. I saw them once with Billy Squier, and that was pretty.
Billy Squier, love him.
Yeah, Billy's got a lot of good stuff. 25 to Life, obviously one inspired by your experiences.
Well, that was an interesting story. That was where this guy had been, terrible, accused of a terrible crime, raping a little girl. 12 years old, and he said, right up front, I didn't do it. And he spent 25 years in, and he got out, and the Innocence Program took his case on, and within 2 weeks they found out that this is in his DNA. And so they basically admonish all of his stuff, and they offered $500,000. And I thought,
yeah,
that's just money is worth your life, 25 years and stuff. And I just thought, it was because of the color of his skin. She was white, he was black, no attorney. And, you got to get a scapegoat somewhere, I'm in all.
Let's pin it on him, right? Yeah.
Got to pin it on somebody.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. But yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad that that's not a very, that it is a very common story.
Well, it's in your area. I'm sure it's really common.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The whole thing, I don't know. I don't want to get into politics, but if you have money, you can buy your way out of a lot of things.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize yesterday watching, because I'm a CNN nut.
You and me both, actually, and I think we were probably watching the same stuff. There's a big trial going on right now, folks. We're doing this in April. I don't know when you might be catching this, but there's a big trial with a very prominent politician going on.
Well, I was really naive to realize that National Enquirer would buy stories.
Oh, yeah.
I had no clue.
They're catching kills where they would. Yeah.
Here's another secret. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
UFOs.
Would you say there are UFOs?
Are there UFOs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So, it's one of those deals that, again, it's honor. If we just had some honor, and then it was so easy. Maybe because I was a Boy Scout as a kid. I don't know. I just try to be the best that I can and have honor and just have some integrity.
Yeah. Well, I didn't
And
make it to the Boy Scouts, but I made it through the Cub Scouts. So, and I
nice.
think I've got some of that too.
Well, right.
Yeah, but no, it's true, and I think that goes back to something that we said earlier. Nurturing as we were children.
Right.
Being instilled with some good values, and I know that's not easy for every kid to get. Obviously, some have parents where they're never going to get that, but if it's not parents, then maybe there should be some sort of organization that
So,
makes it a little easier.
buddy, let me ask you something. Here's what my dad would do. He would say to me, if you and Buddy are going to go out and play, when that light goes on in that telephone post, I want you home.
Yeah, yeah, I had the same kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
That's easy. It's that easy.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to go too far down the road of how things were so much better back in the day. But we made a Mayberry joke earlier, and I think people might look at that and say it's corny, but I think it's true. There was good lessons instilled like back then, maybe several decades ago that maybe unfortunately has fallen by the wayside some. But you know there's just so much that I wish was different out there, for other people's sakes.
I think it's up to us
Yeah.
as the older people now to just try to say, and I do a lot with kids. Hey, 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 here's what I think, or you shouldn't be doing, because that's what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do is, you're supposed to be able to mentor an adult kids. And you're right, we've gotten away from that. And so, for me, I just try to do it through my music, through me talking and going to Rotary Club talks and stuff and whatever it be, of just trying to get everybody on the same page of just trying to do something, whatever it is, just do something. Don't do anything. It's not going to work. But
Yeah.
do something,
Yeah,
and think,
I agree. I agree. And I think, and it could be something just so minimal too, folks. I'm no expert, but just a simple fact of, how you even acknowledge somebody when you're walking down a street,
oh,
if by
oh,
maybe,
just give them a smile. Hey,
yeah,
buddy, how you doing? Happy Wednesday.
yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah, exactly. I mean, a little bit of kindness can just make such a difference in someone's day.
Absolutely.
And if it happens in someone's day, then that could extend further than that day.
I agree. Now, I don't know what it's like in Delaware, but young kids don't talk over here.
Hmm.
They got that little two thing going, and they'll be
Oh
walking,
yeah, yeah,
and say hello to them. Their mouth's going open. Oh, he's talking to me. And
right.
hi, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. Just to see your smile, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. And not just kids, with adults too. I mean, it can make, I think some people are used to people like, scowling at them or just
Right.
looking the other way or crossing the street so they don't have to walk next to them. And obviously there are situations where you have to look out for your safety and you want to, if you feel like you're in danger, obviously you're not going to go up and hug everybody. But
No,
it doesn't take much to just be, courteous to someone.
you don't want to be Mr. or Mrs. Poopy Pants.
Yes.
You don't want,
That's a perfect way to put it, Buzzy. Perfect
you
way
just
to
don't
put it.
want to do that. You just, look, here's the deal. And I tell everybody this because everybody says to me, why are you so happy? And I would say, in my world, we could be, inmates and cellmates here. In
Yeah.
my world, we can be living underneath a bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my own bed to sleep in. I know where I'm going to eat. I
Yeah.
have clothes. It's the simple things in life, and I don't have to go to the bathroom unassisted.
Yeah.
Assisted. Wait a minute. Let me think about that. Oh, I can go to the bathroom unassisted. There we go.
Right.
That's so. Yeah, man. There's a lot to be blessed for.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
blessed on your show. I mean that.
Well, thank you. And I'm blessed to have you here. And yeah, I mean, there's, I try to have that mindset too. I'm kind of even into, meditation and just kind of embrace every day as it comes. I know a lot of people would look at that as a hippie-ish thing, but it's true. I mean, we've only got today. I mean, we can hope for the best for tomorrow and do what we can to make our tomorrow better. But you've only got today right now. Don't spend too much time living in the past because none of us can change it. Damn it. I mean, there are things I wish I'd done differently, but we can't change our past. Just do the best you can today.
I agree, man. I live in the moment. I live moment
Yeah.
by moment, and I live by the four agreements. I'm sure you know what the four agreements book is, don't you?
I'm not sure I do. I'll probably know when you say them, but please share that.
Well, I'll send you the book. I'll get your address and send it to you.
Okay.
The four agreements are help me out, Laura. Always do your best, take nothing personally. Uh, that's two. Oh, she's gonna go get it. She'll help me out here.
Okay.
Sorry, she's gonna come back with all of it here. But basically, you want the four agreements with yourself.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make
Don't make
assumptions.
assumptions. That's a good one.
Don't take anything personally.
Take nothing personal.
That is wonderful advice. That's easier, obviously easier said than done sometimes, but you got to try your best to do that, to not take it personal.
That's my hardest one. Take anything
Yeah.
personal.
That makes me think of another quote where, what other people think of you, you have no control over. So you can only really take it so personally.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And just bless for what you have. And yeah, I mean that's the extent of it. And for me, it's been a total blessing to be able to, first of all, play music and have people dance to it, but now to play music and have people hold their hearts and cry to it.
That's wonderful.
Amazing to me.
That is wonderful. And again, I want to mention your music to folks so they can check it out. I mean, we said you can be found on SoundCloud.
Yep.
And are you on YouTube as well? I think, or is that?
They can go. I got a bunch of videos up on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my website, that's just buzzymartin.com.
Yeah. And you mentioned Facebook earlier. I know you're on there. And
Facebook, it's buzzyguitarman.com.
okay.
Oh, no, not .com. It's just Buzzy the Guitar Man Martin. That's it.
Fantastic. And folks, I encourage you to check them out. I love reading Buzzy's posts on Facebook and elsewhere. So I wish you the best with the movie and, with your music. I'm looking forward to hearing new music. I want you to send me your new songs when you got them, Buzzy.
I definitely will. And, and again, thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And I know your audience loves you as much as I do.
Oh,
And
that's very, very, very nice of you. Thank you.
hopefully someday we'll break bread. It'll be nice.
That would be really, really nice. And folks, I just a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to be taking the next couple weeks off from the show, so I probably won't have another episode for another 3 weeks or so. My wife and I are going to take a little vacation, so I will be back though. And again, check out my friend Buzzy's stuff.
We'll go with you. Where are you going? We'll have some fun gambling.
We'll talk after the show. All right. Thank you again, Buzzy. And everybody, thank you for watching or listening.
Appreciate it, man.
Everybody.